Greetings! Today I decided to play Technicolor Antichrist box by Major Arlene, which came out I think in June this year. It's a big slaughter map for zdoom, but you know, before you start panicking thinking oh no it's for zdoom, it uses the supercharge mod by Tango, which was used to fantastic effect in his Paradise level set, which you should check out sometime as well. So it's quite interesting to play. It's not too difficult, I'd say. It's relatively entry level for the sort of slaughtery gameplay. You've got a lot of resources to get yourself back at the health if you're in trouble. Supercharge in general is a lot easier to play very loosely with, for reasons I'll sort of discuss later on. So let's get into it. Right then, so nice start here, nice purple skies. It's the new look the kids are into now, this sort of vaporwave aesthetic. A lot of zdoom things with burning blood, things like that. Very, very colourful, very gaudy, ostentatious sort of look to them. It's not my ideal aesthetic for Doom, but hey, it's pretty nifty looking. It's like a fresh air. So, since we're using Supercharge here by Tango, you've got to reload the shotgun. All the damage values are normalised and very different for the weapons, or they feel very different. It depends on the weapon. I'll talk about them when they sort of appear and what's going on. So at the start of the map here, you have lots of these enemies in cages here, and these will turn out to be a real pain in the ass for me later on. It turns out that you probably should be using mouse look when you're playing this, but a traditional sort of problem I've always had with zdoom, a reason why I don't like zdoom maps so much, is I never know how I'm supposed to play them. Jumping, no jumping, etc. It's always very awkward. So here's the first major fight in the sort of hub area. Coming into here, there was actually some nice portals there where there was some impossible geometry, you know, non-Euclidean spaces, but I didn't really show them off, I just kind of ran in here. First thing I was doing was grab the backpack. You can actually get an armour before you even start here, but I don't know why I don't do it first, instead I kind of wake everything up. The rocket launcher, as you can see here, shoots faster projectiles. The rate of fire is really fast on this as well, but it does no splash damage. Or very, very little splash damage, so it's all about getting those direct hits. But it's kind of the workhorse in this map, I'd say. Those side bruisers there, I've never seen them before. They're not in Paradise, that's for sure, so I was kind of confused when I first saw them. But they basically just shoot a volley of rockets, very, very damaging rockets, and they're red, to make them quite easy to see, thankfully. They're very, very dangerous, those enemies, and they've got a lot of health. But you know what I'm doing here is I'm just freely spamming rockets. One of the interesting side effects about having very minimal splash damage on rockets is it feels like you can just go nuts with them. They shoot fast, they have minimal splash, I will just shoot them directly at pain elementals without thinking, and I don't give a shit really. New behaviour there on the right one, did you see that? They've got a different name in Supercharge, it's a very funny name. But they kind of scuttle sideways really fast now and then into your way, and it drives me mad. What are they called? They've got a funny name. Who knows? Anyway, so right now, sort of, there's a huge amount of space. There's no real risk to anything, so I'm just clearing up basically. If you were playing this to make a sort of speed run, you'd probably shave a good 15 minutes off the time very easily. And what you would do is you would leave all this awake for the final encounter where you've got a BFG to clear it all up. But you know, I don't want to do that really. I'm playing very casually. I've only played this about once before. This was the second actual attempt at making a demo. So, you know, emptying this room here, just diffusing the trap here. So there's two wings, two different keys. This is one of them. It gives you the scrap gun. The other one gives you the super shotgun. The scrap gun, for those of you who don't know much about Supercharge, is shoots 4 shots in a volley, a huge amount of spread on them, very damaging, and it causes a lot of stun and things when you hit people with them. So it's a really good weapon for carving your way out of trouble if you're ever getting boxed in. Not that you ever do really in Supercharge for reasons I'll discuss. But I took this wing first purely because I like the scrap gun so much. There's no real downside to which way you go first, like the pink key or the cyan key. And there's a couple of secrets in this map as well. You've still got regular archviles here. The other archviles you see a lot of, and the ones you saw downstairs were diabolists, I think they're called. Diabolists, I was getting that one. I think of the game Diablo. Diabolists are very interesting. They sort of leave a pillar of flames. So here's quite an interesting little set piece here. One thing you will have noticed, probably from earlier on as well, is there's a lot of floating platforms in the void, but there's no real threat of the void. It just teleports you out of it, and it's kind of just obnoxious, really. It's not like a traditional hurt floor where you've got to run and find your way out of it. It's just odd, really. Very odd. But it looks nice. I mean, that's the thing, it's a very striking visual effect. So right now I'm just trying to clear out a few of these obnoxious snipers with limited sort of effects here. Because of the lack of splash on the rockets, it's actually surprisingly hard to hit things that are above you. You'll hit the lips and you'll hit the walls next to them often, and it's too much damage. Oop, fell again. You see, there's no real downside to that, it just wastes a bit of my time. The Spider Mastermind has a new attack, which is kind of like... It's this projectile, which does a lot of damage, but... they're not really threatening like they are. The hit scan Spider Mastermind makes me a little... Spider Mastermind kind of worries me a little bit. This one... just abuse the stairs to make him forget you're there. Murder him with a scrap gun. You can see how much damage a scrap gun does up close. What I'm trying to do here is just clear out all of these little snipers. They're probably the weakest part of the map, I'd say. There's no real reason to have these guys in cages be so obnoxious to kill. There's something about there's a lot of visual noise, so it's hard to see if there's anyone actually there. You see there, the rocket's just not doing anything. And there's just so many obstacles that block your shots and those torches and things. And you can see there's a bit of copy and paste here because there's an imp which is around the corner there, but you can't see him ever in normal play. I looked for an angle where you could shoot him from, but there isn't one. So I found the best thing to do is just go into the void and try and kill him with rockets or something before you can you teleport out. And you can see I kind of hit him with one rocket in the side and then I couldn't hit him again. I was looking at the map there to see the kill count because I honestly couldn't tell if he was alive or dead. I just went out with the shotgun and the number went up, so I said that's fine. So Berserk only does 5 times more damage in this because fist damage has been normalised. It's no longer 1 to 10, I think it's just a straight 5 now. So maybe it's a straight 5, maybe it's a straight 10. I don't know, it might be a straight 10 actually. So you do 50 each punch instead of 1 to 100 with Berserk, which is nice. You can play this with a damage number thing if you want to see the exact breakdown. This encounter was really nice, I like this one a lot. But I feel it could have a bit more threats. There should be something at the top of the staircase to stop you from standing up here, keep you moving. It uses these lovely cacodemons. I don't know what they're called, these guys. But I think they're called tortured souls. They shoot out the smelly gas, basically, when they die. And area of effects, you don't want to be near them when they die, basically. But they're very good for causing in fights and suffocating lower tier enemies, which is very cute. And the projectile kind of wiggles in the air, which is cute. So down there's the Cyber Barons. Really cool addition to Supercharge. They have a rocket launcher on their arm. I think you can blow it off with a sufficiently large amount of damage. And then once you do that, they're just like a normal Baron. They're kind of weak. It's a really nice sprite work. What makes Supercharge so good is how there's a real cohesiveness, I think, with all the different elements. The weapon balance and the monster balance, they all work together. There's a real sense that it's one cohesive package, if you will. That combined with the fact that you've actually got maps made for your gameplay mod. Something about zdoom gameplay mods that's always bothered me is how there's never a map made for them, so it's like, well, I guess I'm going to load up Scythe too and have a look at this mod that makes Scythe Demon shoot cats from his arms or something. This is a great little arena here, but it kind of shows again how you can just spam rockets at point blank and not have to worry about anything. So there's a Diabolist a Diabolist at the top. You've got this big bridge here with the Revenants, and at the bottom you had the Pyro Demons who shoot big air effects, fireball when it hits you, like a burning patch of ground, a lot of damage. It's nice. It's a really good use of 3D space that you don't get in normal Doom maps or Doom compatible maps. Real 3D spaces. But it's kind of strange as well, because that guy up there, sometimes he can resurrect things directly below him, sometimes he can't. I couldn't really figure the rules out. He just was kind of a pain. But it's fine. As long as you sort of hang out under the bridge. The release of the tortured souls a bit later on to make things a little more dangerous is nice, because you actually have to worry about them. You don't want to be standing in their gas, because it does quite a lot of damage. And here's a bit of strange geometry. I'm not quite sure why the chute and the lift going down is inset so much into the staircase. It just makes it very difficult to get up the stairs. But it's fine. And you got the little zombie men there who shoot plasma. They're cute. And the pistol, which is one of the nicest things in Supercharge. Really arcadey, high damage pistol. Satisfying to shoot things, satisfying to reload. But that's a lovely little fight. And we're going back to this arena here that I completely ignored the first time. There's no real reason to kill things at the start of this one, because it's just... there's not much to worry about. So, the thing about Supercharge is it feels a lot more fast-paced than Doom does, and arcadey in the way it plays, but it's much more forgiving. It's very much like a skill saw map, where it looks like there's a lot going on, there's a lot of danger in this situation, like all these different monsters and there's projectiles everywhere, but there's no real danger to anything that's going on, and that's because of a combination of factors. One, the damage normalization means that I'm not frightened about getting hit for 80 damage by a rogue Revenant rocket that'll just completely screw my game plan up or anything like that. You've got the lack of infinite height in zdoom as well, which means that I can just go underneath flying enemies. Lost souls aren't a big issue, I just go under them, ignore them. I'm not going to get boxed in, I don't have to think too much about where I'm moving. I've also got the scrap gun as well, so I can just carve a path through enemies if I really need to with a high stun chance. That's another factor. So the lack of splash on rockets and things like that as well just means that I can spam rockets to my heart's content. If a pain elemental flies directly in my face, it's going to do about 100 damage to me, but I don't have to worry about splashing myself on the edge of something. It's an interesting thing with Supercharge. I think Paradise, I think it's maybe map 4, is the one where it drops down at the start and you're flooded with a huge quantity of Hell Knights and Revenants and there's Cyber Demons and God. And do you think, well, I'm going to get smothered here, but you don't. You can just carve a path through them. And these maps, or this map here, it's quite low density for the most part, so you've always got a lot of space to move around in. But it's a nice fight, that one there. It's fun. It's frantic. And as you can see, you've got a lot of resources to deal with it. Here's one of the things that I didn't really understand about this set. Again, the issue with these odd snipers. These snipers here, I've got Diabolists, there's 3 on each side, but they don't do anything, as far as I can tell. One of them, I think the middle window one, was able to put down a bit of fire in that big clusterfuck fight, but what are they doing here? Even if you don't skip the initial fight, you're not going to come in here and get in trouble from these guys. They have such a limited angle to even attack from. And as you can see, the auto-aim, it's just not working for me. It's incredibly frustrating. Now, without auto-aim, you could just shoot them and snipe them out, but what are they doing? What's their purpose, you know? They just seem to be there very awkwardly. Maybe there's going to be something else happening here. Maybe it was going to be a lot more hectic. Maybe there's going to be a reason to be pushed into these hallways here, but no, not really. They're just there. So I'm trying my absolute best here. The rockets are all hitting the bottom lip. The lack of splash damage means no damage is being done to them. End up using the shotgun. The plasma rifle, as you can see, it reloads now. I don't know if it does any more damage. It probably does. Actually, I don't think it does. I think the damage output's pretty much the same, except for now it just reloads. And a lot of people think that's kind of a taboo to have a reload in a Doom project. But it works. It's arcadey and fast enough that it doesn't feel like it's an issue. You can cancel the reload in the shotgun and things like that. So I can't remember if early versions of Paradise had a rocket launcher that you had to reload, or if I'm just thinking about Brutal Doom and getting upset. But yeah, the rocket's dead the most. As you can see here, I'm just torturing myself. I could have just left these guys, but I really wanted to get 100% kills and prove that it could be done without using mouse look. With mouse look, it's not a big deal. But I think the risk with mouse look is I felt that it trivialised later parts of the map, so I thought, I don't really want to use it. And for me, Doom is not about using mouse look. It's a game about, not about aiming, it's a game about movement, it's a game about positioning, it's a game about sliding around like a hockey puck in a rink. So. You look how ostentatious the big pentagram is and the colour scheme here. The strange wavy textures on the walls. I'm just looking to see if anything's alive down there. Looks clear. But that's one wing done, I suppose, the pink key. It's a bit of a strange fight, this one here. I'm not really sure what's going on with it, but you can see the Pyro Demon's behaviours here much better. They shoot the big fireball, they use the hot fire, which hurts the standard. It's a nice area denial attack. So these guys have managed to work themselves up the stairs. I'm taking care of them because they can look in on the next wing when you're fighting, and I really don't want one of them sniping me. You see how much health these guys have. I never like them too much. I don't like the idea of having a Baron-shaped enemy with Cyber Demon level attacks. I've always felt it's kind of cheap to have something that can do so much damage, which isn't a big, visual, noisy threat. The Cyber Demon has extremely large damage output, but he's allowed to have his high damage output because he's big. You can hear him at any point of the map when he wakes up. He stomps about audibly, you know, boom, boom, boom. You can hear where he is at all times, so you're never going to get blindsided by one if you're paying attention. The Cyber Bruisers, or whatever they're called, those guys in... is it... Which skill sword project is it? I think it's Valiance. They're a pain in the ass because they just sneak up behind you and they can just shoot you in the back and insta-kill you. So this is an interesting little arena here. It's reused twice. This is where you get just the regular, beautiful super shotgun. It fires faster in the supercharge versions. This is nice. You've got a nice sort of crossfire situation. It's very hectic. Very satisfying. But if you keep moving, you're not going to get hit, basically. It's very much a paper tiger fight. You will walk into those two torches though, because they block you and that's kind of a pain. So watch out for those. I'm just having a look around here. So here's a nice little a ring. Big ring. You fight stuff in the middle. From the edges, you stand on the edge and you come from the middle. It's a classic sort of setup. It's very nice. There are chain gunners. They give you an assault rifle, which shoots in a 3-round burst, which is... it's okay. It suits what Supercharge is doing. So I'm just clearing this out quite systematically. There are some quite tricky enemies on the outside of the ring, and I just want to get rid of them now because I fear them, basically. You can see down there there's a... oh, what are they called? This would help if I knew the name of the monsters and I could remember them, but I can't. The Cyber Barony man, the Baron with the arm who shoots you. Cyber Baron, yeah. You don't want him to rocket you out of nowhere. The extremely obnoxious Arachnotron replacements just hanging out back there. The bushes are really nice as well. I think it's plays into the cool vaporwave aesthetic of I'm in the shopping centre with my mum. It's 1989. That wasn't too young. And that's really nice as well. The in the centre you've got the kind of the overgrown, what do you call it, moss? Whatever vegetation's hanging down. It looks really cool. It's really pretty, this map. It's very vulgar, as I said, but it's very pretty. So I've cleared everything out now. There's a nice lock-in fight coming up here, which took me by surprise the first time. This is probably the most threatening situation in terms of space. If you're not expecting this, you run to the wings automatically and you get overwhelmed. But it's a crescent at the end of the day. Once everything's awake, you can just keep things toward them. Use the scrap gun. If anything's on the outer edge, if you spam the scrap gun, you're going to stun lock it / push it back. Get out of the way. You can just clear up. Like I say, there's no... It's one of the most threatening situations for space, but even so, you can see how densely you can pack a space in supercharge based mods without an issue. So at this point, I'm going to forget to pick up the secrets. Oh no, I did. I actually picked it up that time. Okay. And get shot by the big rocket boy, because I forgot he can see you around that corner. They have a lot of health, these guys. I mean, are they part of supercharge? I'm not actually sure. This could be something which was added as a bit of spice, or... because they're not in Paradise, which is all I know supercharge for, really. But it's fine. I'll get the assault rifle. It shares the same slot as a scrap gun, which is a little panic-inducing sometimes when you're switching weapons. But there's no elegant solution to that, really. These archviles are strange, and this entire room is a bit strange. It feels a bit underbaked. I'm not sure why those guys are there. There's no real threat from them. It's not like they're going to come around the corner or anything. It's just too large for space for them to do anything. But this fight here is extremely good. Here's a great example of playing to the strengths of the gameplay mod that you're using. An encounter like this in vanilla would be pretty much impossible. As far as I'm concerned, it just wouldn't be a good time. Because the splash damage that you would take off walls would just kill you with the side demon. But in supercharge, not much splash. You can weave in and out very, very quickly. And take all to pieces. This is really satisfying, actually. But again, it's not as threatening as it looks. It looks a lot more frantic and dangerous than it really is. And then you can sort of take out one side and another side. I think this is arguably the most dangerous part here, just to clean up, because it's so easy to get complacent and then get shot in the back by a rocket that you weren't paying attention to. The Revenants are totally unchanged in this. Totally unchanged. They're just normal. I think they shoot from a different position. These guys don't seem to ever attack, because if you look, they're not on the actual lift, they're on the lip. So they can only attack when the lift goes down, which I'm not sure was intentional. It might have been poor placement, because they would definitely spice that fight up a little bit. But the reason why, again, I cleared out everything at the beginning is because they can all walk up the stairs and they can take pot shots at you from when you're in that pit. And it makes it a little bit too frantic. But those are the 2 wings complete and all the secrets as well, so... on to the final major fight. This is sort of a warm-up. This fight's actually a lot nastier than it looks. A lot nastier than it looks. Those archviles can bully you quite hard. And the pyrodemons, they do a lot of damage when you're not paying attention to them. And there's 2 cyber demons here, but I think they're weak variants of the cyber demon. They have a lot less health. Who are just spamming down from the exit where I want to be. So it's worth keeping them in mind, but honestly, as a threat, they're not that significant. I'm more concerned about getting all the lost souls, because I want to go into... 1 HP. A bit interesting. Yeah, the lost souls are the major threat, as you just saw. But when they're gone... see the burst fire on the rifle. Which works. Okay. Now, the final fight is one when I first played it, my frame rate went down from the solid 120 to whatever it was down to about, I think, 10. And it's another bugbear of mine with all of these incredibly complex sector-based slaughtery map zdoom projects coming out, like Bridge Burners ones, where they just don't play well. One of the joys about Doom is that you can have your thousands of monsters on screen, but in normal Boom source ports, that's not actually very taxing, but because of the way zdoom works, having lots and lots of enemies on, it leads to a lot of lag because of the different way the actors behave. It's very, the different way it's coded, basically. They're much more complex. But the big BFG, this isn't in Paradise, so it's my first time using it. As far as I can tell, it's unchanged. So what I have to do here is turn down the decal count and the amount of jibs and things that can spawn. I think it's set to 10,000 by default down to 100, because otherwise it's just a bloody slideshow at this point. So, interesting situation here. In that cage in the middle, you may have noticed at the start, you may not have, there's a lot of archviles and those viabilists. They will be revealed, the back bars come down, they can get out. So what I like to do here is just stay doing a sort of a half circle in this back area of the staircase. Because there's some guys upstairs as well, they can come downstairs. Just filter everything down here and just spam with the BFG, really. Just not having to worry about infinite height is so good in a situation like this. The one pain elemental who's miles above you and lost soul or something blocks you and then you die, and this doesn't happen. It's so unusual. Yeah, the gate's definitely open now. One thing I've seen people do, I had a bit of a look to see what other people have done with this, is they go upstairs, and if you go upstairs there's pretty much no risk from any of this, because you know what they're going to do, they're all below you. But if you go upstairs, it does mean that you release all the archviles, and it's just, I don't know, if you have mouse them, you can just take pot shots at stuff down below, and that just feels a bit lame. So I thought, I'm trying to enjoy myself here, just turn mouse look off. This is why I really want mouse look off, so I can do this fight. Just, all good. No infinite height actors means you can jump over their heads as well. It's another reason why you don't have to worry too much. It's fun. It's a bit of very hectic, but this is I would say quite an easy map. I'd say that most people would be able to get through this without saying about any issue if they just give it a bit of a go. There's difficulty settings implemented, but I don't think you need them too much. There's nothing too frightening going on. It does make you feel extremely strong. It's a really good power fantasy modification. I would say the music's nice for this as well. Not having MIDI music is a bit of a luxury. It's not something I see very often. So, not much to say really here, it's just a lovely little map. There was a Cyberdemon alive there, which I didn't notice. I don't know who he's infighting with. It must be somebody who's directly above him upstairs, who he can't get to. The joys of room over room. So I kind of try and get his attention and fail miserably, and then give up. So the problem is, as you can see, there's a lot of vials in there. You can't really let them out because it's a pain and you run out of cells quite easily. So the best thing I found to do was just to spam them through the bars like this, hit them with the tracers through the bars, and just don't go to the far end. Don't go upstairs either, because if you go to the upstairs, obviously you're at the far end of the stairs and they can start filtering out. And just, whoops, that was poorly done. Just take them out, really. I'm not really sure what the intention was with these guys. They seem a bit odd. I mean, it's cool because it constrains your movement. Like, the way I handle it, I feel they work really well in that situation. But, I wish there was a better way of cleaning them up than shooting for bars like this. Going around the corner and just spamming the BFG into them is pretty suicidal, because, I mean, there's only a few archviles, real archviles mixed in there with the Biblists, but the chances are you're not going to be hitting those ones. They're going to be at the back somewhere, blasting you up in the air 1,000 times. They're an interesting choice, the Dabblers, because they do constrain movements considerably. They're best used in very small spaces. They're also very good infighters. I think map 5, or is it map 5 the final map of Paradise? Has a really good example of that, where you have them seeded in with enemies in very, very small enclosures, and they do the work. You use them to kill a couple of side beams, I think it is, at one point. It's very satisfying. But hey, look, that's fine. There's a lot of damage that fire. And that's the exit gate open there. So now it's just a case of, oh shit, now it's just a case of cleaning up, really. And this is the part where it's going to get quite boring quite quickly, because cleaning up the final area is... I don't really understand why you need to have the things in cages there to begin with. I think it probably would have worked a lot better if they weren't in cages. You could probably have a small number of enemies just exposed and visible, causing as much chaos as... always throws me off here as well. The Mancubus projectile spread pattern is slightly different. Possibly because I think the projectiles don't come from the centre of this sprite anymore, they come from like the actual arms, which means that it's harder to dodge them because I'm so hardwired into just dodging in a specific way. But with this, you've got to think just a little bit harder. That's it, I think. That's this entire area cleared out. I think I go upstairs to have a quick check to make sure that nothing's been missed. It's quite cute as well that no matter which way you go at the start of the map, you always end up inside this area. You end up inside using some funny portal geometry trickery there. The platforming here though is so odd. Only 2 art trials feels like quite merciful play. Those you can't shoot through those pillars. Some of these little torches you can shoot through, some you can't. You can't shoot through those ones. Strange inconsistency. This is the part which drove me mad though. Like trying to clear up these enemies without mouse luck is like pulling teeth, because they're all just outside water aim range and in funny places. I thought I'll use the rifle instead of the pistol, and it actually seems to do a worse job than just taking pot shots with the pistol. Can't get them. And the frustrating thing is, without the auto aim, if you're not on the right sort of y-axis level, you're not going to hit those imps. There's a situation in a minute where you see them doing that. I desperately try and shoot once we miss every time. You can barely see them either, I've got to say. But hey, that's just me trying to clean up, prove that it can be done. Here's an example. Trying to shoot that guy, and if he's outside of water range, you can see the bullets are just pinging very harmlessly off the bottom lip. Falling into the abyss. Vaguely humiliating. Again, there's no real... There's probably the highest damage penalty for doing so is here, so... It's not a big deal. Oh, this is quite frustrating to watch back, because I know how to get this guy now. There's 2 enemies alive there. At this point, I just wanted to get out of the map, so... I thought maybe I'll use the BFG. No, out of range of tracers. That wasn't what I was trying to do there. No, out of range for the pistol there. Hit with a couple of shotgun pellets at that range. In theory, I suppose I could have done the same with the shotgun with the Mancubus, but no. There. I should have stood on the edge there. I think that probably would have been in range, but maybe not. I'm pretty sure everything is in auto-aim range in theory in this area. And here I am trying to cobble together a plan of how to get this guy. I think my big idea was to run off the edge into the void like I did earlier, and just shoot rockets and hope the auto-aim hits him. He's a fat enough target that it should. Yeah. I think one more rocket and that's the end of it. Let's see. Yes. And there's the end of the map there. So that's Technicolor Antichrist box by Major Arlene. Use a supercharge. Really nice to see what releases using supercharge. More things should use supercharge. It's very good. I love it. It's very interesting. Yeah. I think that if you really wanted to play that aggressively, you could probably do it. I don't know. You could probably do it in about 20 minutes, I'd say, something like that, if you really pushed it. But that's not for me. I'm just a casual sort of player. So, go play that. It's good. Nice. It's good to see some good zdoom releases these days. Make sure you turn down your settings, though, in the supercharge menu. Otherwise, you might have some lag issues at the end of the map like I do. It's funny, I have a very powerful computer, but it didn't like it. So, goodbye. Have a good day.